Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play the great strategy games. Now, we're making a Let's Play tutorial playing through Civil War II made by AGEOD currently. This is episode number 10. We're in early June. Let's get off of that for a second. We're in early June of 1861, or what I call my least favorite turn of the game, because you'll see we have a lot of locked forces, and that's that red ribbon. It means our guys are locked to keep the game historical. They're building up forces. We're building up this army. Well, they're calling it the Army of the Potomac. It will become the Army of Northern Virginia. We're building up the Shenandoah quote unquote force, which will become the Army of the Shenandoah. Um, so there are a lot of things that we have out here that we can't move. Now, I'll just say meta talk here for a second. Um, this is episode 10. I delayed it a little bit because I went back and made an episode 0 of this series, or, the Civil War II, the prequel. You know how in comic books sometimes they'll put out a issue 0 because they want to go back and tell the origin story. I thought as we went through this, I was piecing together how movement works, how command works, the difference between, stacks and units and elements. But I thought I had littered it enough through the episodes that it would be very helpful for people that want to get into this game or to get into AGOD games in general. Um, I thought it would be helpful to put that all into one episode and just have an episode that's all that we talked about, because they're really the most important concepts in this game and in every game that this company makes. So, when it comes down to it, the movement, moving your stacks, um, commanding your stacks, or armies, commanding your units and down to elements, really, you're commanding elements. Um, all of those things are the core concepts of these games. So anyway, I went back and made that, episode 0 for lack of a better way to call it, which is just kind of a prequel to this and is also kind of a gateway into any game that AGOD makes. So I just thought I would mention that. Now, where are we in our game? Great question. So I was looking over the map before this, and I was kind of joking this is my least favorite turn of the game. But there's not a whole lot to do here on the Eastern Front. Now, we've been knocked back out of Harper's Ferry. That's fine. We were in a defensive posture anyway. We didn't want to mess with anybody. Now, let's look at this force. It says Union force regular. What does that mean? So they're likely not militia. These are likely regular troops of the U.S. So they might be bringing, a usual regular force could be, if it's only one, and we're only seeing one with the detection that we have on them, could be around 40 or 50. Now, we've got our guys back here at Winchester, our militia. They're dug back in a little bit. They're dug in one. We would like to keep Winchester. As you see, Winchester is one of our, it's a strategic town, not an objective town. Let's go up here. Objectives, Winchester isn't giving anyone any points up here, right? Let's make sure I said that. Let's make absolutely sure that's true. Those are objective towns. They're the ones that blink on your map. Um, Winchester is just a strategic town. It's important. I think we might even lose a point of national morale if we lose Winchester. Um, well, don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure if that's true or not. It really is kind of beside the point. We would rather not lose Winchester just to, win the war, because once you lose Winchester, and I'll just tell you, having played this game, if you look at how this map is structured, how the regions are structured, once the Union comes across the river here to Harper's Ferry, um, and then takes Winchester. Now, you may say, well, gosh, that puts Johnston in trouble. And it does sort of. Johnston's going to get all dug in here. Johnston, either next turn or the turn after, is going to form an army. So he's going to be in pretty darn good command. We'll pop up to 16, 17, 18, and he's likely to have almost everything in command. Now, what do we have coming up here? We see this circle. Okay, right now we have Smith and Winder headed this way. Do we want to send both of them up here is really the question. Um, Winder's the guy that's got okay stats. He's 322, or at least he's not terrible. Smith, 311. He is, whatever. That's just like the generic general in this game. So let's actually take Winder out and let's Charles Winder, where are you, sir? He's back here. We're clicked on him. Where's he going? Let's keep him here. We can do that moving off. And there we go. Okay, now he's going to stay there. Now, let's make sure that's true. Yep, okay, cool. Now, Gustav, let's see. Yep, Gustav's the one that's going to be moving up here. You can see his photo. That's the only tile moving up here. And we'll have him merge in here. Now, the reason we're going to do that is we're one turn away from these guys getting unlocked. And the minute these guys get unlocked, Stonewall is going to take his brigade and quite possibly the 1st Virginia Cavalry and go cause some mischief. Now, so I guess when I started talking about this, once the Union takes Harper's Ferry and then they take Winchester, you would think Johnston, is the guy that's in trouble, but not really. He's fine. Any kind of direct assault against him is really going to be very difficult unless they bring a ton of troops this way. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's unlikely. What's more likely is they're going to sit here and instead of going for Johnston, they're going to run this gap down the valley. Now, as you see, so here's Johnston's, this is Warren, Virginia. Then you have, I'm just looking at the names. Okay, so this is the region is called Winchester. So you have Winchester and Warren. Then here you have Shenandoah. They're going to run this gap straight down here to Newmarket. Now, if they do that, what's our big problem? Our big problem is Johnston and Beauregard are cut off from each other. This potential supply railway is taken over. It's out of our control. We obviously can't send um, supplies up this way. We can't send troops up this way. Anybody coming, like, we've got Gustav Smith coming this way, if they're sitting down here in Newmarket, it just puts us in all kinds of jeopardy if the Union runs this gap. So we would very much like to hold Winchester. Now we're kind of in a tough spot, right? I mean, we've got our militia force um, that went up to Harper's Ferry. They're back here. We've got the garrison that's here. Okay, so we got 17. They're locked, and I think I think they stay. Yeah, they're permanently fixed, so they're staying here. We've got 17 or 18, 17, and then we just put this group down here, the 3rd Virginia Local Defense. Have you ever heard of a more generic name than that? So we put the 3rd Virginia down here, or up here. I guess this is up for us, right? We put the 3rd Virginia here as another blocking force. So they will eventually get up to 17 or 18 when their cohesion hits peak, probably next turn. So let's say that that's 17, right? We'll have 17, 34, 52. I mean, that's likely enough to hold off one unit, one regular army unit from the Union. So we've got him on defensive. Let's do defense with a little stiffer spine, right? Defend, defend. No changes to the standard rules, meaning they're going to sit there and defend unless they're pretty much getting, run over or routed. Now, we've already got him at defend, defend. Um, Again, if you just go along this, these four choices, you're going from get out if you get shot at all, out if, it's gotten to the third turn and you're not looking great. This is defend. Stand your ground. Of course, if things really start to turn against you, retreat. And then finally, the red is hold at all costs. So, we're going down with the Alamo boys. So we've got 52 here now. I'd rather they not be in Winchester, where they could get besieged. So he's in Winchester. Okay, those guys, let's get him. Now we've talked about this before. Let's have him exit, sortie. I don't want him to sortie. Let's just pull him out here. Now you could so we had talked about these movement, these special no. That looked like maybe he's working to Harper's Ferry. Why would that be? No, oh, there we go. Now we've just pulled him out of the structure. Um, this militia is outside, just like him. Okay, now we got him, you know, just make sure. Just look down here. It'll tell you if they're inside the structure. So now we're going to have about 35 outside, and then we'll have another garrison inside. Hopefully that keeps them from pushing too hard. Once we have Stonewall Jackson activated, now we're going to have to watch this character up here. It's a 3-star general, and look, he's got 2 1-stars with him. He's got artillery, and he's got 5 regular units. That could be a problem. But, next turn we'll come back and look at this. We'll break Stonewall Jackson off, replace him with Gustav Smith as a brigadier general, and we'll go from there. Now, Beauregard, he's got a lot of guys that are building here, and they're almost getting there. They're almost built up. Now, next turn, they're going to activate. So we're in good shape there. The Union has 1,001 combat power over here. We have 812. We're dug in, and we would be on the defense with a very good general. So I've got no worries right there. Now, you might remember we built a militia here, or we are building a militia here. They're inside Falmouth right now. We're just going to leave him there this time. I really would prefer that nobody comes down here and tries to kind of mess around with Beauregard. He's getting well dug in. I like that. That probably, we have a good chance if we can just hold on here because we're building. We're building a lot of things here. So this is Fredericksburg. We're building a lot of things. We've got Campbell's Brigade. We've got Wise's brigade, which, nice. Okay, so now Wise is built up. He's active now. I will point out, we've been talking a lot about fixed units and how you have the red stripe across here. When they're building, they have this brown stripe, which means they're just not up to strength yet. They're building up a force. Um, it's not illegal from them to move. Oh, no, it is. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. It's illegal for them to move. They're just telling you this is a building force, not that it's a fixed force. So we have Wise's brigade here. They're sharpshooters, the nice, 3 elements. We've got the 16th Virginia, the bloody 17th, and the 30th Virginia. That's great. Now, you'd say, well, why don't we maybe move them up to Falmouth as well? I just don't want to get them massacred if the Union comes here in force. They're fine right here sticking around with these other bigger forces that after one more turn, now you can see Mahone's brigade's already up to what, 120, was that 125 combat power? So, I mean, this is becoming a true fighting force here, and I think in one more turn, maybe 2, Mahone's will be ready. So great. Okay. I mean, I think we're in pretty good shape over here. Just looking back, so we're building all these forces here. Looking back at Richmond, We've got a nice force here with Magruder that can kind of maybe be a rapid reaction force if we have a to plug a hole in the dike. Eventually, Magruder, we may need him down here if the Union lands at Fort Monroe. It's possible, or if they land at Norfolk, we may need him here. We've also got Huger here, who's out of command, and maybe this is where we send Vendor. He's an 89. Huger is a 3. Oh, wow. People really like Ben Huger. He's moved through the ranks. I'd forgotten that. I generally, because Huger is an artilleryman and he makes every element in the stack their artillery better, I generally pull him out and go send him up here to the Army of Northern Virginia or the Army of the Potomac at this point, because he makes their artillery very good. So that's probably what we'll end up doing is having Vendor run these guys with, other generals that show up, and we'll continue to get generals at Richmond. We're not going to run out of generals, believe me. Um, and then send Huger up here to make the cannon here really, really good. We've still got our supplies over here. So anyway, I guess the point of my whole uh, rant there about Huger and Vendor is they're just going to sit tight this turn. We've got this stuff coming up from Norfolk that we captured. Down in Norfolk itself, remember we're building those Marines down there, so that's good. We've got the garrison with a lot of nice things in it. We're building this up. Oh, that's right. Okay, so we sent this squadron down here to meet up with Franklin Buchanan. Um, Now it's interesting. These frigates really need to be doing some shipping. Let's look at what they're best at here. Overview. It's an average combat power, no, healthy, full supply level. They're just considered a light warship. Well, this one light warship floating out there is just going to get whooped. That's what they called it back then, I guess. Ocean restricted. Okay, so once we get it out of port, yeah, okay. So it can't go out into the ocean. It's quote unquote ocean restricted. It's got to stay shallow. I I think what we'll do is have this whole force kind of monitor the James River. They're all, you know, all three of these ships need to be in shallow water, at least no further out than here. The Union has just massive navy. If we put him here, he's just going to run a navy down here and just blow him out of the water. And I really don't want him to be lost that easily. Now remember the Patrick Henry, we're floating out. Oh boy, what a circuitous route. But we're floating him out to the Atlantic blockade to meet up with our guy Tottenham, uh, Josiah. He's our really good admiral now. He's considered a three anchor admiral. He got that title last time. So, long story short, we're going to keep all of that as is. Um, there's just not a whole lot to do over here on the Eastern Front. There just isn't. These guys are all still locked. Our John B. Floyd is locked for one more turn. Next turn, we'll start having him head due south to get out of there. We still got, this really nice fighting force, these Wise's Legions. They're great. We're going to try to just build kind of a West Virginia force here. They serve two purposes. They keep the Union from shooting this gap across the Appalachians. They also, if the Union runs this gap down into the valley here, they can move up to New Madrid and kind of help try to push back. So it's nice to build an army here. We're going to want to be building army here. It's not urgent. We've got something in Knoxville here, just a Knoxville force. So that's fine as we move west. Um, we've got that wagon train coming out of Atlanta, coming up here to Nashville. We've got some something out in the water there, some gunboats. We got our transports, that's what that is. But we don't have a force in Nashville yet. We may actually want to put some Tennessee volunteers up in there, but we'll get to that in a minute. As we move a little further west here, we've still got this Memphis force. We've got another supply wagon coming over from Corinth. That's great. We're taking this supply wagon and rolling it over here to Little Rock. That's great. You may remember that we're moving. Yeah, that's that supply wagon. You may remember. What is this? Oh, shoot. Sorry. That was the transport. I was like, what ship do we have here? That's just showing they're transporting the supply wagon by river. Okay, I got confused there. Yeah, because we're bringing Hollins and his gunboat up here, and we're having this gunboat merge with it, which is what this little symbol is. So that we got a nice little force here, kind of at the neck of where the Mississippi and the Cumberland. What is this? The we got the Duck River, the Cumberland River, the Tennessee River. They all kind of meet here and meet up with the Mississippi at this bottleneck just south of Illinois, just south of Cairo, Illinois. So we're going to run these gunboats here so the Union can't, come straight down the Mississippi. We'll at least have a little something to push on. We've got a guard unit out here. Great. That's not going to stop anything. We're still building up Corinth. That's developed territory. You may remember that card. Oh, that reminds me. Let's go up and play our cards. So demonstrations, yeah, they cost $10,000. Money's not a huge problem. Let's go over here and play a demonstration card in Alexandria. We'll play another one up in Baltimore. Um, let's play one in DC. Why not? Just come a few problems. We're not going to declare martial law, no counter intel, no draft, no requisitions, no plunder, export bales. Remember, we got to try to remember to do that every time because this actually pays for the demonstration cards we just played. So we've, exported bales again. We're also running these blockades out here. And we've got runner. Now that we only want to play that if we get in a bad supply situation somewhere. We can try to have blockade runners in there. Clearing. Now we haven't talked about this. 5 development points cost $5,000. You can kind of, clear away a forested area or an undeveloped area if you want faster movement through there. So let's look at clearing. As you can tell, it's all of these places in Tennessee, down into Missouri that aren't developed at all, or I mean, probably over into West Virginia. Whoops, 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 whoops. Clearing. There we go. Where would we be running troops where this would be necessary? Let's not spend too much time on this. Let's play it in Nashville. We'll clear Nashville, Knoxville. We'll clear a little bit there. Now, open trails, you want that out west. We haven't looked much out west. It's mainly a lot of Native American Indian territory out here right now, and they're really the only ones active. Our big base of locations here is El Paso. We will eventually get an army at El Paso, and when I say army, it's not really, it's a force, I should say. Now, all of these are neutrals right now anyway. But you see the Union Army is up here in southwestern California, or southeastern California, excuse me. Fort Yuma, they may, start moving down the map. And once they get here at Tucson, they can move straight across into New Mexico and threaten us a bit. So anyway, if you wanted to open trails out here, you could do that. We don't really have a reason to do that now. Let's see, open trail. Look at this, completely undeveloped here. So we could play it, but you know, well, it is one VP gained. I'm not sure if I want to spend 35 grand for a victory point. I don't think that that's good return on investment. Roads, this is all the same deal, right? If It's undeveloped. We may want to build some roads. Mainly, the further you get back here east, there's very few regions that aren't going to have a road. Not saying there's none, but it's few. You see, oh, look at this. I saved as you go further east. There's a place here with like literally no road. Let's build a road there. My goodness. Build defensive works. This is one we should talk about. I used to always build defensive works here at Manassas. Um, your troops entrench better, 10% loyalty, costs none. It needs a city with at least three infantry regiments. But I feel like Beauregard gets stuck there. Like he won't come out of his entrenchments. So you'll have forces that come down here in Manassas, Union forces, and even if you have him on defend and aggressive, he won't do anything about it because he's down in his entrenchments. It's a There's no right or wrong there. If you build entrench here, it gives him, I believe, an extra entrenchment level. We can look at this again. It just says troops entrench better. Uh, you know what? Maybe it doesn't cost anything, right? Why don't we just build this at Fredericksburg? And that way, if they try to come up this way, we've got some defensive works here. So you're building better trenches or putting up better breastworks. That's the idea. Okay, so this turn, I think the last thing we need to look at over here, and then we're going to build some troops. We already looked at these, by the way. These always pop up when you bring a game back up. St. Louis Massacre. The last thing we needed to look at was price, Sterling Price. Now our problem here, he's going to sit there for now. We're going to bring McCullough up there, and we're also going to bring J.O. Shelby. And I really think that man, Shelby has such a terrible seniority. But McCullough outranks Sterling Price. Sterling Price is a 1 star. McCullough is a 1 star with a 1 point better seniority. He's also got 3 bonuses. Look at McCullough. Regular fighting skill, charismatic, and a master spy. He's great, but he's locked. Shelby is not. Let's bring Shelby up here to Fayetteville, and we're going to give him. That's only going to take 8 days. Cool. I was going to move him by river because this looks like it'd be faster, right? Take the river. Does that make any difference at all? Nope. Must be riding his horse. So Shelby's going to move from Little Rock up to Fayetteville in 8 days. We're probably going to give him 2 of these cavalry units and say, ride out there, JO, and do your worst. So we're getting near the end of the episode here. We've got a lot of money. We've got pretty good manpower. We've got pretty good war supply. We've played our cards that we want to play. We maybe want to build some troops. Let's go look at our book really fast. So this is our forces. We could hit, locked and naval. And now this shows us everything that we've got that could move that's on land. I can tell you, I looked at this before the episode. We're not going to go through all of this. We have now looked at or moved every single stack that can move or be, that has the possibility of action. We've looked at it and decided what we were going to do here. So let's, look at the naval units. Same with these guys. We have moved everybody out that could be moved um, and taken a look at them. So that's good. We've moved all of our troops. So that's forces. War production, you'll see here we've got things building. We actually have the Virginia Ironclad building, which we didn't do that. The game did that. We've got Marines building at Norfolk. We just looked at those. They're still building, so it'll still show here. The HQ support, my guy, right? Love that guy. We've got Mahone's Brigade. So everything that's, building on the map will also show up right here. Um, I'll wait till next time to go into reserves. I will tell you this, we're going to start to build our reserve. So I just left clicked on this, uh, but I'm going to, and then you right click it to take it off. What's it saying here? It's saying, +0. So to the left here, to the left of the parentheses, it shows you what your kind of overflow is, like guys that are just sitting there in reserve. So what you're doing is building elements. These are elements. This is telling us right now we need 71 elite. This is CSA elite infantry elements. We need 369 line infantry. We need 23 light infantry, which is, in those some of those brigades that we built. This, I believe, is skirmisher. Now we have extra of these CSA militia. So we already have a little built up here of line infantry. And when you go to this after each turn, and cavalry as well, as you start to look at it, so we already had some things here in reserve. As you start to look at it, each turn, you can tell what's getting drawn off of, right? So let's build an elite guy, and as you'll see, let's right click again. As you'll see, that will take money, manpower, and war supply. So let's look at those. Okay, so it took 10 manpower, was that two or four? Four war supply, and about 14,000 bucks to build one reserve unit. Now we'll come back next time and look at this and see if it even got drawn upon. Um, the reason this is showing up wildly in red here is because it's building forces out on the map. It's still early in the game. As the game goes on, this will start to give you a much more accurate kind of estimate of what you need. Right now, it's a little screwy because it's early in the game. But just by monitoring what's down here, you can kind of tell what's being drawn upon. But these cost the same as like your building units. These just go into the units you've already built, if that makes sense. Um, Now, this is artillery. So if we want some backup artillery, that's what this is. It has the same, it's a war supply um, moniker there. I don't know why they separated these two. They could be, here, but they just wanted to give you a different place here for artillery. So light, field. Oh, I guess it does tell. Okay, it tells you exactly what they cost when you're on this thing. Sorry if you saw that earlier, you're probably screaming at the screen. Um, okay, so that's that. War production. Various. Now you may remember this. We did this early in the last episode, or late in the last episode. Anyway, we signed up to get increase the rail pool. So we're going to increase it by 25 points. That's costing us $40,000 and 20 tons of war supply, but it's well worth that. This will pop up 25, so we'll be at what, 116. That's great. We decided we're going to do the river pool next time, kind of spread those out. Treasury, we're still not doing anything there. Oh, we're building arsenals in Georgia, so that's great. Government, we're not doing anything. Okay, great. So all we have left to do this turn, I believe, is to buy some troops. So what do we want to buy? Where are we right now? We know that, see, I don't want you inside Manassas. Get outside of Manassas. Get back in your entrenchment. Um, right here, this is probably where we're going to see the first action, right? So, common sense tells you we need to continue to build troops here. And that's what we're going to do. We've got another 200 guy available. Now this is going to just, 199 money, 72 conscripts, 30 war supply, and it takes 4 turns. But when you get these guys, you got to crank them out. You just do. Now the question is, do we put them more with Beauregard or more with Johnston? I'm going to keep putting them in Fredericksburg for now. They're better protected there for one thing, um, with some building units. So we're going to put them there for now. I think you also have another 3 and 73. Now this 68, 26, 6. Okay. That's fine. We're going to build another one of these guys up here. So we're down to 38 conscripts. That's our real limitation right now, are those conscripts. I mean, I just build the heck out of these guys when I can. They build in 2 turns. These 73s, the 73s have got sharpshoot. When I say 73s, the combat power, they've got sharpshooters. They build in 2 turns. So we're going to build this guy there. Now we've gone red. So, we've used up most of our stuff. We've still got 12 in conscripts. We could build some artillery. I don't build any navy as the South. Some people may disagree with that. Oh, I always like these sharpshooter units. The question is, right now, where's the best place to put them? You also have these kind of crazy looking, got kind of like a French uniform down in Louisiana, guys, some Creole fighters maybe. Um, I think I want to put a couple of things in Tennessee. So if we're going to do that, I think really the Tennessee. Sorry, I'm flipping through here. There's an easier way to do this by searching and whatnot. I'm not going to do that quite yet. We're going to put a volunteer in Nashville. Takes us down to 5. Crud. Okay, so I think that kind of wipes us out. We could do horse artillery, or we could do a beautiful brig or some, none of this stuff's really. These guys are always good to put with somebody. They don't cost much in conscripts, and we've got decent money. Although our money's, 636, it's not great. We should be getting another HQ. This Signal Co. gives you extra command point. Um, it's also included. So the headquarter unit that we talked about last time when we're building kind of is the Signal Co. and the Medical Co. and another couple of things all wrapped into one, right? And these guys are kind of the broken out HQ support. It's like the individual stuff. We also have engineers. Engineers help you entrench better if you're doing a siege. That they're better at that. But I think we've done enough for this turn. I'm glad that we got one troop into Nash. So we've got militia that we're putting into some places. We'll continue to do that and do even more of it. I just, I like to build up these big troops in Virginia at the start because that's where you're going to be getting all the pressure. So it looks like we're right about up on our 38-minute mark. So I kept this one, a few minutes shorter. We did a lot this turn. When we come back next turn, we're going to resolve this turn immediately. We're ready to go. Let's say, you know what? Let's resolve it right now. We've been doing these to 40 minutes. It's not going to take 2 minutes. So let's resolve it. Hopefully nothing terrible happens because I'll want to talk a lot about it. But let's resolve this turn and see what happens. I keep waiting for the North to get a little aggressive. We've got the AI on medium aggressiveness, which is what's recommended for the AI to play its best. Man, I like when they're aggressive and they cause all kinds of headaches for you. Let's see if I agree with that assessment when we get to the end of this turn. Um, Building up, building the file, building the file. Now, see, these are fun to watch too, and you should always watch the turn resolution because you'll see where where your spotters are telling you that the Union has forces moving. Um, oh, look at this. So they're bringing troops down the Mississippi. We just fired at them. I don't know if you saw that. We'll see this here in a minute when the turn resolves, or in the next episode. But yep, so the Union is bringing what looked to be, we spotted them at a 125 combat power, bringing them down the Mississippi. So, wow, that's a decent sized force. That's pretty bold. And, oh, they're coming up to Little Rock. Wow. Okay. They're, hmm, interesting. Okay. Well, we'll see what they're up to. Now you see in Missouri, they're kind of moving around in northern Missouri there. They want to kick you out of Missouri. That is definitely an AI script thing that they can't wait to get you out of Missouri, which was a very bloody part of the war. If you ever get a chance, if you like John Tiller games, he's got a John Tiller game called Ozark that's in the Civil War series that has a lot of those battles, and those were really like nasty battles. Um, smaller, obviously way, way smaller than what you see on the Eastern Front of the war, but pretty deadly nonetheless. So we see they're, they have quite a bit of action over here by the Mississippi. They're sailing something around the coast of Florida, which means we really got to start thinking about building New Orleans up. The Union likes to come after New Orleans. They're showing us out here out west for some reason, so they're moving some troops south and or east. Okay, so that all resolved. When we come back next time, we will go over this turn. No disaster happened, so I'm not going to talk a lot about it. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I'm hoping you enjoy the series so you play this game. I'm certainly enjoying making it because I just get to play the game and talk a lot. What's terrible about that? So as always, this is Strategy Gaming Dojo. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.